Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we have a pick a card where we are taking a look at your person's hidden feelings. So I do have 3 groups to choose from. We will start here. Some of these are in reverse. I leave them if I find them. When I shuffle them, I try to leave them in the position they're in. So we have the tiger reversed for group 1. And then we have the lamb for group 2. And then we have the horse reversed for group 3. So I will give you a moment. You can pause here if you need to and take your pick. And I am going to get started with group 1. So your person's hidden feelings. I have pre-shuffled these. So we're going to start with the tiger in reverse. I do feel like when they met you, or maybe earlier on in your connection, this person felt that you were very intuitive, very feminine, very sexy, very sensual, very open about your desires, very comfortable around them, very comfortable in your own skin and comfortable with who you are. But for some reason, they feel like there's been a shift in that energy. Maybe you've been taking on a more masculine role lately. Maybe you've been, trying to do more in the relationship, pick up their slack, take charge the way the masculine should be, traditionally speaking. But it feels like the roles have kind of been reversed and your energy has just done this 180. And maybe they feel like you're even struggling with your intuition, you're struggling with a lot of clouded judgment, maybe second guessing yourself a lot. It feels like there's a lot of doubt about who you are, what you want right now. Maybe even some difficulties with your self-esteem or how you see yourself in the grand scheme of things in this relationship or connection. And it feels like they saw you as well and do see you as someone who might be a bit less emotionally experienced in relationships or in love or in connections. And if that's not the case, it could be that something has come up in this relationship or a connection that has made you feel a bit more rocky emotionally, right? The Princess of Cups is a bit typically less experienced with emotions and love, or she might be a bit unsure of how to process her emotions or express her emotions, or she may be, having some trouble approaching love. And I feel like this person thinks that you want them and you want something with them, but maybe you're not communicating it the way that you used to. Maybe you're not communicating it as softly or gently or directly as you used to. And I also feel like whatever has happened in this connection has also made you maybe even emotionally withdraw a bit, or the reason that your emotions have shifted, the reason your perception of self and all of this have shifted is you're trying to protect your emotions, you're trying to protect your heart. And I think that they see that. And I think that they see that, you are essentially just trying not to get hurt, right? You're trying not to let things bother you or overstimulate you or really get under your skin. We also have the Queen of Pentacles reversed. So in the past, again, I feel like you had that very feminine energy. You knew what you wanted, you knew how to get it, you knew how to, I don't want to say manipulate your partner, because that's not really the term I'm looking for, but you knew how to sway them to get what you wanted, right? Manipulation's not really the word, but it's a more like you knew how to convince them or persuade them to let you do something, or to do something for you, or to get you something. You knew how to use what you have. And you were quite loving and nurturing. And I feel like you, for some reason, again, in this connection, there's been this lack of nurturing energy from you. But I feel like it's not necessarily that you're not nurturing or loving them anymore. I think that they're noticing that you're not nurturing yourself. You're not loving yourself the way that you used to. You're not taking care of yourself the way that you used to. Something about your energy is showing this person that you don't see yourself as important as you once did. Maybe you're putting kids before you. Maybe you're putting your husband, your partner, employees, other coworkers, family, friends. It's like everyone around you matters right now, but you feel like you don't. And so you're putting all of your energy, all of your effort into everyone else around you. And that's draining you, right? And that could be why your person is noticing this shift into a more masculine energy, a more emotionally unstable or unsure type of energy for you. We also have a message of concern and high honor in reverse. Can I stack these here maybe? You can see those. Okay. So I do feel like, this person does care about you. And I feel like they are noticing these signs that something is going on with you. Something's going on with you on a deeper level. And maybe they've spoken to you about this for some of you, but for others, I feel like they're afraid to. I feel like they're afraid that if they speak up about this, it's going to result in a fight. And that's the last thing that this person really wants. And I do think this is someone with a big heart, and they're very perceptive, very observant of you and your nature and your habits and routines. And they see that you've changed, right? They see that you're not focusing on you. I do feel like, for a lot of you, I do think that this person is going to eventually say something if they haven't already. And if not, it could be that they get someone else to step in and talk to you about it, because maybe you're more comfortable with that person. But yeah, I feel like they're afraid that it'll just make things worse if they say something. And for our message, we have, please give me time. I've never felt this way before. And again, I think this really speaks to the fact that this person cares about you, but they don't know how to approach this situation. I think that they're afraid to tell you the things that they're seeing going on with you. I think that they're afraid to tell you, hey, I love you, but, can we get you some help? Can we work through your emotions together? Can we, maybe get someone to help out with the kids? Or how can I take pressure off of you around the house? How can I take pressure off of you at work? How can I feel like this is someone who wants to help you because they care about you. They just don't know how to ask or how to say, hey, honey, like, what do you need from me? Because you, again, I don't know you and I don't know your situation, but from these cards, I would assume that you might be someone who doesn't accept a lot of help very easily. And I think that your person knows that. And when you get this overstimulated and you're this burnt out and you're this stressed because you have so much on your plate, it's easy to blow up on the people that we love, right? It's easy to shift into a more aggressive energy because we're so easily irritated, right? We're irritable, we're grumpy, we don't feel good, we're tired, we're exhausted. All we want is sleep, peace, and quiet, and to be held by our loved one, right? At least if I were in this position, that would be me. But yeah, I feel like they just don't quite know how to approach it, right? They do love you, they care about you significantly, they want to help you. So I always say I am not your mama, I'm not God, and I'm not your therapist. But it could be beneficial for some of you to tell your partner and say, hey, maybe I need help in this area, or maybe you could help me this way, or, whatever it is, and kind of open that line up for communication. But again, we don't want to be super aggressive in our communication. And when I see this card, it says message of concern, and this can be taken in a different context, but I see her putting her hand on her heart, and I just see like this is a sign for either of you, when you do have this conversation, to use I statements. I feel this way. I see this. I want to do that. Rather than pointing the finger and saying, you did this, you're not helping me around the house, or you pissed me off, or you said this, or you never do that. Saying, I feel this way. You know what I mean? So we're not having that aggressive type of conversation with our partner that we love because we're irritated and exhausted and stretched beyond belief. Right? So, Group 1, it has been a pleasure and a blessing. This is your reading for today for your person's hidden feelings, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks again for hanging out with me today. Alrighty, Group 2, we have the Lamb. I've used this deck for years, and it is one of my favorite decks. I use it in almost every single reading. And this is that one of those cards that I always struggle with. It could be, there's different ways it could be interpreted, right? You have the innocence, you have the martyrdom, you have a clean slate, maybe. Someone who's very in tune with everything around them, who's also very grounded. I don't really know the context of this at this moment. So let's take a look at some of the other cards that we have for you in terms of your person's hidden feelings. So, this one might be a bit heavy. Okay. We have Prudence, which is your 8. It was not the 7. 8 of Pentacles and the 10 of Cups reversed. So I feel like your person probably feels like they are sacrificing a lot for this connection, but it's not going anywhere. Or they're putting a lot of effort in and they don't feel like they're getting the emotional fulfillment, or they're not pleasing you emotionally, or not receiving love from you in the way that they had anticipated. And I do feel frustration and depression on your person's part. And maybe it isn't that you don't love them. Maybe you don't love them. I don't know. It's going to be, a case-by-case basis. But your person definitely is worried that you don't care about them in the way that they thought you did, or that they thought that you would. And for some of you, this could be a card of divorce. Something in your home is, kind of going awry, like your family's being turned upside down. And I feel like this person is trying really difficult to stay grounded in the moment. They feel very stressed, very overworked, very tired. Honestly, it kind of feels similar to Group 1, but like the other person, right? Like flip-flopped. We also have Journey and Mature Woman. Whew. Okay. So I don't want to say this to scare anyone, because I don't know your situation. So if you feel like this is for you, take it. If you feel like it's not, please leave it. For some of you, I feel like this person is either considering leaving, or they think that you're going to leave them, one or the other. This Journey and Mature Woman tells me, like, this is the energy of, hey, I've got someone lined up. whether they think you have somebody lined up or they have somebody lined up. I think for most of you, because this is reversed, you have so many choices and options. I think for a lot of you, your person like has somebody in mind or has a plan in mind post-divorce or post-separation, and they're working really hard to get things in line so that they can walk away. And I hate delivering messages like that. But I also don't want to lie to you and give you fluff if that's not what I'm feeling or not what I'm seeing. So, yeah, I feel like this is probably someone who's trying to get their money in a row. They're trying to get their work situation as sorted as best as they can so that they're financially stable once they walk away. And that may be kind of why they're using this other person too. Maybe this is someone who already has another home, or someone who has a stable financial situation, and they're gonna kind of prey on that a bit, use that to their advantage. But this does feel like someone who's definitely packing their bags. And for some of you, it may not even be that they're actually leaving or walking away from the connection, because we do have this 10 of Cups. It could just be kind of like an emotional affair, right? Emotional cheating, where they're not physically packing their bags and walking away, but they're emotionally engaging in something that, they necessarily probably shouldn't be doing, right? And it could be that they're confiding in someone else who might be romantically interested in them about your connection, about, this separation or emotional distancing or divorce or whatever, this emotional... It just feels like you guys are emotionally not on the same page. And I feel like there's definitely a chance for them to be talking to someone else about the problems in this connection. Which again, I'm not your mama, I'm not God, and I'm not your therapist, but I don't think that's appropriate personally. For me, I think it's disrespectful to your partner, but I do feel like this is someone who's trying to explore their options. I feel like this is someone who, they feel very bitter. Like, I did so much for you. I loved you. I gave you all of this. I sacrificed all of this for you, and you don't even love me, so why am I going to stay? That's the kind of vibe I get from your person, unfortunately. And again, I hate when I have to give messages like this, but I don't want to lie to you guys. So, group 2, you have all of my love, all of my blessings, and I am giving you the biggest hug imaginable. And I do thank you for listening to this message today. And I hope, even though it wasn't the most pleasant, that you will stick around for another reading some other time, and I can be blessed with your presence. Okay, group 3, we will start with your horse. So your person's hidden feelings. I feel like your person feels kind of tied down or smothered right now, right? Naturally, the horse, this is a wild and free kind of animal, kind of card, right? It's very, I'm going to do what I want when I want. I go where the wind takes me, right? Like, they're very independent, very self-sufficient, and they're just feeling like they're just not in that energy lately. They feel very just, I don't know. I can't quite tell if it's like a codependency kind of thing where they're wanting to rely on you more, or if it's like a smothered feeling. So let's pull some more cards. Or I've already pre-shuffled, but get your cards on the table. Okay, so let's start with the moon and death. Okay. I find it interesting that the moon card is coming up, because it's usually a bit quiet, for me anyway. So I feel like your person knows that they're not talking to you about everything. They're not telling you everything. They're not expressing openly how they feel. but some change. It doesn't feel like the change has happened just yet, but it feels like there is this threat of change on the horizon for your connection that is really concerning your person. Maybe it's a new job, a move, an interview, I don't know, maybe a loved one is on hospice, who knows. But there's this potential change that could happen, this huge shift in your connection, and they are obsessing over it. I don't think they're telling you, but they are definitely obsessing over it. And that makes sense because their independence feels threatened. I feel like they've grown to care about you deeply, and maybe they felt more of like their own person. They felt whole and complete with you, but not super codependent until this change or threat of change popped up. And now it's like, oh crap, what am I going to do without this person? Oh crap, how can I be this far from them? Or how am I going to make it if I'm spending less time with them? Or how am I going to make it if our shifts change and we can't, spend lunch every Saturday together, or whatever it is. Yeah, so we have, interesting. Yeah, it could be work. Some kind of change in work for this person. Maybe a move for their job, or maybe they're going from day shift to night shift, or something where you guys are not going to be seeing each other as often or communicating as often. I just feel like there's like some kind of separation between you two because of their career, and they're getting a bit kind of triggered by it because there's this codependency that they've tried to hide, right? We also have the false person in reverse. I feel like they try to act all high and mighty and tough, and that independence that we were talking about earlier is really a mask, right? This is someone who's a bit insecure, a bit needy, a bit clingy, a bit codependent, but they try to mask it behind this hyper independence when they really need love and they really feel like they need you. And now that feels threatened by this change in career or work. Interesting. I wonder if this change in position or job or whatever this shift is in their career, I feel like they're second guessing it heavily. I feel like whether it was you that suggested it or a friend, a colleague, a boss, I feel like they are regretting their decision to either apply for this job or take a shift change or accept whatever this change is that they're trying to prevent from happening. It's like they wanted it at first, and then they realized the consequences for your connection that would come from this change, and now they're like trying to backpedal and stop it from happening. But I don't think they want you to know that. I don't think they want you to see that they're not as strong and independent and self-sufficient as they try to act like they are, right? For some of you, I feel like this could be, because I see these two, with the stream in between them. For some of you, it could literally be like they're moving across oceans, like they are moving long distances away from you. And that's a hard, difficult change to go through if it's like that, right? I mean, there's obviously the physical distance, and then you also have to take into account time change as well, right? But yeah, I feel like they're afraid to lose you. I feel like they're afraid of whatever this change has to bring in this connection, and they're scared to let you know. I don't think that they want you to see them as weak, because they try to be the strong one for you to lean on. They try to be tough and hard and stable and, oh, I don't care what happens, I've got this under control, right? But underneath it all, they're shaking in their boots, guys. They're a bit nervous, for sure. So, I think that's all I have for you today. That is your person's hidden feelings for you guys. Group 3, it was such a pleasure and a blessing, and I thank you for being here with me today, and I look forward to reading for you another time.